They called him Mop Man. They snickered when he passed by, mumbling jokes under their breath, sometimes loud enough for him to hear. Leon Chambers never said a word. He just gnawed, keep pushing his mop bucket, and disappear into the background. To the staff of the high-tech research building in Arlington, Virginia, he was invisible, a relic with a janitor's badge, worn coveralls, and silence stitched into every step he took. But what none of them knew was that Leon Chambers used to be someone else. And he was watching, waiting, listening. It all started when the FBI rolled up in their black Suburbans, sirens off, faces tense. Something had gone terribly wrong. A classified server had been breached, one containing private encryption keys tied to national defense systems. Nobody could figure out how. The breach wasn't digital. No firewall had been broken. The access had been internal, clean, surgical. And whoever did it left behind no fingerprints, no trace. Nothing but a single missing key card and a series of encrypted footprints that led nowhere. It was, as one agent barked, a god-level ghost job. That's when they knew it had to be an inside job. The agency locked the building down. Every employee, from the head software engineers down to the cafeteria staff, was questioned, except one man. Nobody thought to question the janitor. Leon kept mopping. As agents stormed around the lab, eyes sharp, suits pressed, trying to unravel the mystery, he moved like smoke, quiet, overlooked, but his eyes, they were sharper than anyone knew. Because long before he held a mop, Leon Chambers had held a badge, a very different kind of badge. 20 years ago, he was Special Agent Leon Chambers, NSA Cyber Operations, one of the best. But after blowing the whistle on an illegal surveillance operation targeting black community leaders, he was blacklisted, discredited, and left out in the cold. They scrubbed his record, smeared his name, and made sure no agency would ever hire him again. The system he once served erased him. So he picked up a mop. Now here he was, back in the world he once dominated, pretending not to understand what the techs whispered about. But he heard them. He heard how the lead engineer, Carter Bell, laughed with the feds like he had nothing to hide. He heard how the assistant tech, Maya, cried after her interview. He noticed which surveillance cameras had blind spots. He saw which badge was missing in the daily sweep. And he remembered every detail. On the third night of lockdown, while the feds were busy checking financial records, Leon found something in the trash. A USB drive, burned on one side, like someone tried to destroy it. But not enough. He didn't turn it in. He took it home. Leon lived in a crumbling walk-up in southeast D.C., surrounded by stacks of books, old computers, and boxes labeled classified, return sender. At midnight, he booted up a rig most hackers would kill for, a machine he built from the parts nobody else knew how to use. It hummed like a whisper. Within 2 hours, he cracked the drive. What he found nearly made him fall out of his chair. It wasn't just defense data. It was a full data pull from the building's internal logs, scrubbed to meta tags, but not all of them. One tag had survived, a rare signature, an encryption method only used by one person in the building, Carter Bell. Leon knew what he had to do, but he also knew the FBI wouldn't listen to a janitor with no clearance. So he called someone else, someone who owed him a favor. The next day, a woman in a beige trench coat arrived, looking like she'd stepped out a Cold War file. Her name was Valerie Knox, NSA auditor turned ghost operative. She didn't announce herself. She walked straight past the front desk, straight into the FBI's temporary command post, and asked one question. "Who's reviewing the internal logs?" They blinked. "We are," said Agent Landon. "You missed something," she replied, and tossed a decrypted tag on the desk. "You're being played." That's when things started unraveling. Fast. Turns out Carter Bell had been laundering small packets of encrypted code through printer jobs, using spoof maintenance requests. Every week, he'd send what looked like corrupted files to the janitorial system's server access, knowing nobody would look twice at the cleaning logs. But Leon had, because Leon wasn't just mopping floors, he was mapping patterns, watching routines. And when Carter started sending files on odd-numbered Thursdays instead of even-numbered ones, Leon knew something had changed. Under Knox's supervision, they traced Carter's code to an offshore relay in the Cayman Islands. It was a classic shell, built to disappear. But Leon recognized the signature. He'd written something similar 23 years ago. He showed them how to collapse the tunnel and force a digital trace. Carter didn't even see it coming. When they confronted him, he laughed, said there was no way a bunch of overpaid suits were going to prove anything. That's when Knox slid the photo across the table. An image taken from the shredder camera Leon had repaired a week prior. Carter's face went pale. It showed him feeding the burned USB into the bin, looking over his shoulder. He was done. The arrest made national news. Lead engineer exposed as insider threat in Pentagon-linked cyber heist. But not a single article mentioned the janitor. Not a single reporter asked how the breach was found. Until one day, a young journalist named Aaliyah Green came knocking on Leon's door. She'd heard whispers about a ghost, a phantom helper who cracked a case no one could. Leon invited her in, said nothing for 10 whole minutes. Then, slowly, he opened a drawer and placed his old badge on the table. "I didn't do it for credit," he said. "I did it because silence doesn't erase the truth, and justice ain't always loud." Her article changed everything. The man who cleaned up what the FBI missed. It went viral. Suddenly, people started looking at the janitor differently. The building offered him a promotion. He declined. The FBI offered him a consulting job. He declined that too. He wasn't interested in being used again. Instead, Leon founded his own nonprofit, Ghosts with Purpose, a quiet organization teaching young black coders how to spot invisible patterns, how to track digital injustice, how to stay one step ahead in a system that erases the truth. He didn't just want revenge. He wanted redemption to mean something. And now, when people pass him in the hallway, they don't laugh. They nod. They whisper, "That's him." And the new agents, they double-check their logs. They ask questions because they know the quiet ones are often the ones watching the hardest.